Freezing to death didn't hurt as much as people said it did. In fact, it was quiet. The cold was a heavy blanket that settled over Elena's shoulders, pressing down until her bones ached. She huddled deeper into the shadow of the brick wall. The wind bit at her exposed skin. It had teeth. Sharp ones. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't stop shivering. Her teeth chattered. It was a rhythm she couldn't control. Click, click, click. She needed warmth. Just a little bit. Elena looked at the dumpster a few feet away. It smelled like old fish and wet cardboard. But to her, it looked like a treasure chest. Maybe there was dry paper inside. Maybe a box. Her body moved on instinct. She crawled forward. Her knee scraped against the icy pavement. It burned. She pushed the heavy plastic lid up. It groaned. Inside, it was dark. She reached in, her fingers numb. She touched something slimy and recoiled. Then, she touched something else. Something soft. Heavy. Leather. Elena grabbed it with both hands and pulled. A jacket. A real, thick leather jacket. It looked expensive. The leather was smooth like butter. Why would someone throw this away? She didn't care. She pulled it to her chest. Instead of the smell of garbage, a wave of scent hit her. It was strong. Musky. Like a forest after a storm, mixed with something sharp. Metallic. It made the hair on her arms stand up. It smelled like danger. But it was warm. So, she shoved her arms into the sleeves. The jacket was huge on her. It swallowed her small frame. But the moment she zipped it up, the heat began to build. It was like magic. She curled back up in her corner behind the dumpster. The leather blocked the biting wind. The smell of the jacket was all around her now. It was heavy. Thick. It clung to her nose. For a second, she felt like she was being held. Not by a jacket, but by a person. Someone big. Someone strong. The thought made her chest ache. She closed her eyes. The city noises faded. Cars honking. Sirens wailing. They were far away. In the quiet that followed, she felt safe. It was a lie, of course. She knew that. But for tonight, the lie was warm. She buried her nose in the collar. The scent was dizzying. Dark wood. Pine. And that strange, metallic tang. Iron? No. Copper. Blood? She shook her head. It didn't matter. A tiny voice in her head whispered a warning. Take it off. It smells wrong. It smells like trouble. Elena ignored it. She was warm. Finally warm. Her shivering slowed. Her breathing evened out. The heavy darkness of sleep pulled at her. She drifted off, wrapped in the skin of a killer, thinking it was her salvation.
The boardroom was dead silent. Just the hum of the air conditioner and the drone of an old man talking about stocks. Gabriel didn't hear him. He smelled him. Fear. Sweat. Greed. Gabriel tapped his pen on the mahogany table. Tap. 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 He wanted to leave. His wolf was restless today. Pacing inside his ribs. Scratching at his lungs. Then, it hit him. The air changed. A scent drifted through the ventilation system. It was faint. A ghost of a smell. But to Gabriel, it was a sledgehammer. He froze. His pen stopped tapping. Rotting leaves. Stale spice. And underneath it all, the copper tang of his brother's blood. The traitor. The pen snapped in his hand. Ink exploded over his fingers like black blood. Everyone at the table stopped talking. They looked at him. They saw the change. They saw his eyes. His eyes weren't brown anymore. They were burning gold. Gabriel stood up. His chair scraped loudly against the floor. "Sir," someone asked. Their voice trembled. Gabriel didn't answer. He couldn't. If he opened his mouth, he wouldn't speak. He would roar. He walked to the window. He looked down at the city. It was a maze of gray concrete and flashing lights. The scent was out there. The one who ripped his family apart. The one who killed his brother and left him to rot in a ditch. The rogue. A growl rose in his throat. It was low. Deep. Like thunder rolling in the distance. His wolf surged forward. It wanted blood. It wanted to tear. To rip. To kill. Gabriel turned and walked out of the room. He ignored the gasps. He ignored his assistant calling his name. He hit the elevator button. He smashed it. The metal doors slid open. He stepped in. As the elevator dropped, his humanity dropped with it. He loosened his tie. He ripped the buttons of his shirt. It was too tight. His skin felt too tight. He stepped out into the lobby and pushed through the glass doors. The cold air hit him. Snow was falling. But he didn't feel the cold. He was burning up. He flared his nostrils. He took a deep breath. There. The scent was stronger now. It was a ribbon winding through the city smells. Through the exhaust and the garbage and the human sweat. It led into the shadows. Into the gray district. The slums. The traitor thought they could hide in the filth. Gabriel smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was all teeth. He started to run. He moved faster than a human should. He blurred past people on the sidewalk. They shouted, but he was already gone. He wasn't a CEO anymore. He wasn't a man. He was a hunter. And tonight, the hunt would end. Tonight, the streets would run red.
The dream was nice. She was sitting by a fire. It was warm. Safe. Then the fire went out. Elena woke up with a gasp. The cold had found a way back in. But that wasn't what woke her. It was the sound. A low, vibrating rumble. It shook the ground beneath her. She opened her eyes. The alley was dark. Shadows stretched long and thin like fingers reaching for her. She sat up, pulling the leather jacket tight. The zipper clinked. At that small sound, the shadow at the end of the alley moved. It detached itself from the wall. It was huge. Broad shoulders. A massive shape that blocked out the streetlights. "Hey," Elena whispered. Her voice was rusty. "I don't have any money." She thought it was a mugger. Or another homeless person looking for a spot. The figure took a step forward. Snow crunched under heavy boots. Crunch. 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 Then, he stepped into a sliver of moonlight. Elena's breath caught. It was a man. But his eyes were glowing. They were twin pools of liquid gold fire. And they were fixed right on her. Terror, cold and sharp, spiked in her chest. This wasn't a man. This was a monster. She scrambled backward. Her hand slipped in the slush. "Stay away." He didn't stop. He didn't speak. He just kept coming. Stalking her. Like a predator cornering a rabbit. His gaze dropped to her chest. To the jacket. His nostrils flared. He inhaled deeply. A snarl ripped from his throat. It was a sound that didn't belong to a human. It was animal. Savage. "You," he growled. The voice was gravel and rage. Elena hit the brick wall behind her. Trapped. "I didn't do anything," she cried out. Tears hot and fast pricked her eyes. "Liar," he hissed. He was on her. He moved too fast. A blur of motion. One hand slammed into the wall next to her head. Brick dust rained down. The other hand grabbed the front of the jacket. He hauled her up. Her feet dangled off the ground. He buried his face in her neck. He sniffed her. Hard. Deep inhales. Elena froze. She was shaking so bad her teeth rattled. The scent, he muttered against her skin. It's you. She didn't understand. What scent? The garbage? Please, she whimpered. Please, I just found it. Silence, he roared. The sound vibrated through her bones. He pulled back. His face was inches from hers. He was beautiful. Terrifyingly beautiful. But his face was twisted in pure hate. You took everything from me, he whispered. Now, I'm going to take everything from you. Elena knew she was going to die. She squeezed her eyes shut. She waited for the blow. She waited for the pain. Something rough and heavy was thrown over her head. A bag. Darkness swallowed her whole. The smell of the leather jacket was trapped inside with her. Thick. Choking. She felt herself being thrown over a shoulder like a sack of potatoes. She screamed, but the sound was muffled. The world tilted. He was carrying her away. Away from the alley. Away from the only safety she knew. And into the den of the beast.
The interrogation room was cold. Sterile. It smelled like bleach and old fear. Gabriel stood in the corner, watching her. She was slumped in the metal chair. Her hands were cuffed to the table. She looked small. Too small. The jacket, that cursed jacket, was still draped over her shoulders. It reeked of the rogue. The copper tang of his brother's blood was so strong it tasted like acid on Gabriel's tongue. Killer, his mind screamed. Mate? His wolf whispered. Gabriel growled. He shook his head to clear the confusion. He crossed the room. 2 strides. He slammed his hands onto the metal table. Bang! She flinched. She squeezed her eyes shut. Tears leaked out. Look at me, he commanded. His voice was a low rumble. Dangerous. She didn't move. She was trembling so hard the handcuffs rattled against the table. Clink. 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 Gabriel reached out. He grabbed the collar of the leather jacket. This, he snarled. Where is he? Where's the pack? I don't know, she sobbed. Her voice was thin. Broken. I told you. It was in the trash. Lies. Rogues didn't throw away their scents. They used them to mark territory. To taunt. Do you take me for a fool? Gabriel leaned in closer. His nose brushed the curve of her neck. He inhaled. He expected to smell more rot. More death. Instead, a different scent hit him. Underneath the heavy must of the leather, there was something else. Something faint. Vanilla. Rainwater. And fear. Pure, unadulterated human fear. It didn't make sense. In fact, his wolf liked it. His wolf wanted to lick the tears from her cheeks. Gabriel jerked back. He stared at her. Really looked at her. Her face was gaunt. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. There were dark circles under her eyes. She didn't look like a killer. She looked like a ghost. Stop crying, he snapped. He hated the sound. It made his chest ache. I didn't kill anyone, she whispered. She opened her eyes. They were wide. Terrified. And honest? Could a killer act this well? But the evidence was on her back. The scent didn't lie. We'll see, Gabriel said. He turned his back on her. He couldn't look at those eyes anymore. They were messing with his head. You stay here. You rot here. Until you tell me the truth. He walked to the door. "Wait," she called out. He paused. "Hand on the knob." "Please," she choked out. "It's cold." Gabriel stiffened. The room was freezing. He had lowered the temperature to break her. But looking at her now, huddled in that jacket because it was the only thing keeping her warm, something inside him shifted. He didn't answer. He walked out. As the heavy steel door clicked shut, he didn't lock the second bolt. He turned the thermostat up. Just a degree. He told himself it was to keep her alive for answers. But his wolf knew the truth.
The silence was louder than the shouting. Elena stared at the metal door. He was gone. The monster with the golden eyes. She was alone. Her heart was hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. Thump. 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 She tugged at the handcuffs. They were tight. Cold. "Okay," she whispered to herself. "Okay. Think." She looked around. The room wasn't a dungeon. Not really. It looked like a high-end panic room. Sleek walls. A single cot in the corner. A toilet. It was cleaner than anywhere she had slept in 2 years. She looked down at the jacket. The leather was scuffed. Old. Why did he hate it so much? Why did he hate her? He kept talking about a pack. About a scent. She brought her wrist up to her nose. She sniffed the sleeve. It just smelled like jacket. Musky. Strong. Maybe a little sweat. She ran her fingers along the inside of the lining. It was a nervous habit. Checking for holes. Checking for loose change. Her thumb brushed against something hard. She froze. It was small. A lump. Sewn into the bottom seam of the inner pocket. Elena frowned. With shaking fingers, she pinched the fabric. It felt like a stick of gum. Or a small plastic rectangle. A security tag? No. It was too hard. She tried to rip the lining, but the thread was strong. And her hands were cuffed. She stopped. If the monster came back, if he saw her messing with it. Fear spiked in her chest again. Maybe this was why he was so angry. Maybe he knew about the lump. She pulled the jacket tighter around her. Hiding the secret she didn't even understand. Her stomach growled. A loud, angry sound. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Maybe 3. The hunger was a sharp pain. It twisted her insides. She curled up on the small cot. The mattress was stiff, but it was off the floor. "I'm going to die here," she whispered into the darkness. The vents clicked. A rush of warm air blew into the room. Elena blinked. The freezing chill began to lift. Why? Why would a monster turn up the heat? She closed her eyes, clutching the lump in the pocket. Maybe it was a trick. Maybe he wanted to cook her. The warmth seeped into her bones. She stopped shivering. For the first time since the alley, she didn't feel like prey. She felt like a puzzle. And she had to figure out the pieces before the monster came back to finish her off.
The security monitors bathed the room in a blue glow. Gabriel stood with his arms crossed. His biceps strained against his shirt. He watched screen number 4. She was sleeping. Curled up in a tight ball. The jacket was pulled up over her head like a shell. "She's faking it," a voice said behind him. Gabriel didn't turn. He knew it was Marcus. His beta. "She's not faking the heartbeat," Gabriel said. His voice was rough. "I heard it. It was steady. Until I touched her. Then it was terrified." Marcus stepped up beside him. "She smells like the rogue, Gabriel. That's enough for a death sentence." "Is it?" Gabriel rewound the footage. He watched the interrogation again. He watched her tears. "Rogues don't cry," Gabriel murmured. They fight. They spit. They bargain. She's a spy, Marcus argued. A distraction. Maybe. But his wolf was pacing again. Whining. Protect, the beast whispered. Feed. Gabriel clenched his jaw. We wait. Wait? Marcus sounded incredulous. For what? For the rest of them to attack? For the truth, Gabriel snapped. He turned to face his friend. If she is innocent, and I killed her, I become the monster. Marcus looked at the conflict in his alpha's eyes. He sighed. Fine. But don't get too close. That scent, it poisons the mind. Gabriel looked back at the screen. The girl, Elena, shifted in her sleep. One hand fell out of the jacket. It was thin. Skeletal. She was starving. Gabriel walked to the door. Where are you going? Marcus asked. To the kitchen. You have staff for that. No, Gabriel said. He stopped at the doorway. If I send staff, they might hurt her. They smell the traitor too. And you don't? Gabriel looked down at his hands. He could still feel the phantom warmth of her skin. I smell. He paused. I smell something else. He left the room. He went to the massive, stainless steel kitchen. He ignored the confused looks of the night cook. He grabbed a plate. Bread. Cheese. Meat. Simple food. He hesitated. Then, he grabbed a bottle of water. He felt ridiculous. He was the alpha of the Thorn Pack. One of the most feared predators in the city. And here he was, making a sandwich for a prisoner. But he couldn't stop. His instincts were screaming that he had made a mistake. A massive, fatal mistake. And if he was right, if she was just a girl who found a jacket, then he had hunted an innocent. He walked toward the basement stairs. The plate felt heavy in his hand. He told himself it was interrogation tactics. Feed the prisoner. Gain her trust. But he knew. He just wanted to see those eyes again. Without the tears. He wanted to see if the vanilla scent was real. Or if it was just the only hope he had left.
The smell hit her before the sound did. Roast beef. Sharp cheddar. Fresh, warm bread. Elena's stomach gave a violent, painful lurch. She sat up on the cot, clutching her middle. The leather jacket creaked around her, a stark contrast to the mouth-watering aroma drifting through the steel door. Click. Clank. The locks turned. The heavy door swung open. The monster stood there. Gabriel. He filled the doorway, blocking out the light from the corridor. He wasn't wearing his suit jacket anymore. His white shirt was rolled up to the elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle and dusted with dark hair. In his hand, he held a plate. Elena pressed her back against the cold wall. She pulled her knees up. What do you want? Her voice trembled. She hated it. She wanted to sound brave, but she was just so tired. Eat, he said. One word. Low. Rough. He stepped inside. The room suddenly felt very small. He placed the plate on the metal table and put a bottle of water next to it. Then, he slid it toward her. It's not poisoned, he muttered, seeing her hesitation. Elena looked at the food. Then at him. Why? Because dead prisoners don't talk. He pulled the metal chair out and sat down. Backwards. He rested his chin on his arms, watching her. His golden eyes were dimmer now. Less fire. More, calculation. Elena crawled toward the table. Her body moved on instinct. The hunger was a living thing, clawing at her throat. She grabbed the sandwich. She didn't care about manners. She took a bite. Then another. Slow down, Gabriel said. His voice was surprisingly soft. You'll get sick. She ignored him. She drank half the water in one go. As the silence stretched, she felt his gaze on her. It felt heavy. Physical. Like a touch. The jacket, he said suddenly. Elena froze mid-chew. She swallowed hard. I told you. The dumpster. Which one? Behind the club. The one with the blue neon sign. The velvet lounge. Gabriel went still. He stared at her, unblinking. That's rogue territory. No human goes there. I didn't know, Elena said. I just go where the heat vents are. She looked down at her hands. They were dirty. Cracked from the cold. I was freezing, she admitted. The shame burned her cheeks. I didn't care whose it was. I just didn't want to die. Gabriel reached out. Elena flinched, expecting a blow. But he didn't hit her. His hand, large, warm, calloused, brushed against her knuckles. He was reaching for the empty water bottle. Zap. A spark, hot and sharp, snapped between them. Elena gasped. She jerked her hand back. Gabriel hissed. His eyes flared bright gold again. He looked at his hand, then at her, as if she had stabbed him. You felt that, he accused. Static, Elena stammered. It's just static. No, Gabriel growled. He stood up abruptly. The chair screeched against the floor. That wasn't static. He looked at her one last time. He looked, terrified. Stay here, he ordered. But his voice lacked the earlier bite. Don't take the jacket off. He was gone. The door clicked shut. But this time, the lock didn't turn. Elena stared at her hand. Her skin was tingling where he had touched her. It felt like a sunburn. She looked at the empty plate. He had fed her. Maybe he wasn't a monster. Or maybe he was a different kind of monster. One that played with its food before eating it.
The alley behind the velvet lounge was a graveyard of bad decisions. Broken bottles. Used needles. And the stench of stale beer and urine. Gabriel stood in front of the dumpster. The snow was coming down harder now, burying the sins of the city in white. He was in his human form, but his senses were wide open. He took a breath. Trash. Rat droppings. Mold. And there, faintly. Her. Vanilla. Rain. She was here, he whispered to the empty air. He stepped closer. He saw the drag marks in the snow where she had crawled. He saw the small, huddled impression behind the metal bin where she had slept. It was exactly as she had described. Then, he smelled the other scent. The rogue. It was old. Stale. But it was there. Gabriel crouched down. He examined the snow near the dumpster lid. There were boot prints. Heavy. Military grade. The rogue had been here. He had dumped the jacket. Why? A rogue never abandoned their scent. Unless it was a trap. A lure, Gabriel realized. The words tasted like ash. The rogue knew Gabriel was hunting him. He knew Gabriel would track the scent. So he planted it on a carrier. A mule. An innocent, homeless human girl. Gabriel closed his eyes. The image of Elena flashed in his mind. Her terrified eyes. Her trembling hands. The way she had flinched when he reached for the water. He had almost killed her. He had dragged her to his dungeon and terrorized her. I'm the monster, he growled. The guilt hit him like a physical blow. It buckled his knees. He had broken the most sacred law of the Alpha. Protect the innocent. He stood up. Rage, hot and blinding, flooded his veins. Not at her. At the rogue. And at himself. He pulled his phone out. He dialed Marcus. Secure the perimeter. Double the guards. Did she talk? Marcus asked. She told the truth, Gabriel said. She's bait, Marcus. She's a walking target. If she's bait. Marcus hesitated. Then the trap hasn't sprung yet. It's about to. Gabriel hung up. He turned to run back to the car. He needed to get back to her. He needed to apologize. He needed to. He stopped. The wind shifted. It carried a scent from the rooftops above him. Fresh. Sharp. Copper. The robe wasn't gone. He was watching. And he wasn't watching Gabriel. He was watching the direction Gabriel had come from. Toward the estate. No, Gabriel breathed. He shifted. Bones cracked. Clothes shredded. The massive black wolf landed on the snow. He didn't care about the humans who might see. He didn't care about the secret. He ran. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life. The jacket wasn't just bait. It was a beacon. And he had brought the beacon right into the heart of his home.
The warmth of the room had made her drowsy. Or maybe it was the food. Elena sat on the cot, knees pulled to her chest. She traced the stitching on the leather jacket. She should take it off. He had told her not to, but it felt heavy now. Like a burden. She reached for the zipper. Thump. A sound came from the high, narrow window near the ceiling. Elena froze. It was a small window. Barred. Reinforced glass. It looked out onto the estate grounds. Scritch. Scratch. Like claws on glass. Elena stood up slowly. She moved toward the wall, staying in the shadows. Hello, she whispered. A face appeared at the window. But it wasn't a human face. It was a mask of fur and teeth. A wolf. But not like the one Gabriel was. This one was patchy. Gray. Mange-ridden. And its eyes, they were red. Madness swirling in crimson pools. Elena screamed. She stumbled back, knocking the chair over. Crash. The wolf outside didn't bark. It slammed its head against the glass. Thud. The reinforced glass spiderwebbed. A tiny crack appeared. He's here, Elena gasped. The owner. She knew it deep in her gut. This was the thing the jacket belonged to. It had come back for its skin. Or maybe, for the lump in the pocket. She scrambled backward until her back hit the door. She banged on it with her fist. Gabriel! Help! Help me! The wolf outside hit the glass again. Thud. A shard of glass fell onto the concrete floor. The cold night air hissed into the room. The creature's snout pushed through the broken pane. It snarled, snapping its jaws. It was trying to squeeze through the bars. Elena looked around for a weapon. The plate? The fork? She grabbed the metal fork. It was pathetic. Useless against a monster like that. Open the door, she shrieked. She could hear the wolf whining, struggling to push its shoulders through the small opening. It was stuck, but it was reaching for her with a paw, claws extended like butcher knives. She was locked in a cage with a monster trying to break in. There was nowhere to run. She squeezed the fork tight. Come on, she sobbed. Come and get it. The door handle turned. But it wasn't unlocked. Elena! Move back. Gabriel's voice roared from the other side. I can't, she cried. It's breaking in. Boom. The door shook. Gabriel was throwing himself against it. He had locked it too well. Crack. The window frame gave way. The gray wolf tumbled into the room in a shower of glass and snow. It shook itself off. It looked at her. It growled, a sound that vibrated in her teeth. Elena held the fork up. Her hand was shaking violently. The wolf lunged. The steel door exploded inward. Twisted metal flew across the room. Gabriel stood there. But he wasn't human. He was mid-shift. His face was contorted, half man, half wolf. His eyes were burning suns. "Mine," he roared. It wasn't a word. It was a command. A declaration of war. The gray wolf turned, distracted. Gabriel launched himself across the room. A blur of black fury. He collided with the gray wolf in midair. Teeth met fur. Blood sprayed against the white walls. Elena dropped to the floor, covering her head as the two monsters tore each other apart just inches from her feet.
The gray wolf was dead. Its body lay twisted in the corner of the interrogation room. Gabriel didn't look at it. He only looked at her. Elena was shaking. Glass was in her hair. Blood, not hers, thank the moon, was splattered across her cheek. She was still clutching that fork like it could save her. "Drop it," Gabriel murmured. She didn't hear him. Her eyes were wide, staring at nothing. Shock. Gabriel scooped her up. She was light. Too light. Like holding a bird with hollow bones. She gasped, stiffening in his arms. "I've got you," he rumbled. The growl was still in his chest, vibrating against her side. "You're safe." He carried her out of the room, past the guards and a stunned Marcus. He didn't stop until he reached the master's suite on the top floor. He kicked the door open. The room was massive, lit by the fireplace and scented with pine and cedar. He carried her straight to the bathroom. It was more like a spa, with marble everywhere and a tub big enough for 3 people. He set her down on the closed toilet lid. "The jacket," he said. His voice was tight. "Take it off." Elena clutched the lapels. "No. It's cold." "It's not cold here," Gabriel said. He reached out. "And that thing, it smells like death. It smells like him." A struggle played out in her eyes, not physical, but a terrified reluctance to let go of her armor. Finally, she nodded. Slowly, with trembling fingers, she unzipped it. The leather peeled away. Gabriel took it and threw it into the corner. Far away. Then, he turned on the tap. Hot water thundered into the tub. Steam rose up, filling the room with mist. "Get in," he said. I can't," she whispered. She looked down at her dirty clothes. Her muddy boots. "You need to get that scent off you," Gabriel growled. "My wolf is confused. I need to smell you." She didn't move. So, Gabriel knelt. He reached for her boots and untied the laces. His big hands were surprisingly gentle. Tears spilled from her eyes. Silent. Heavy. "Why?" she choked out. "Why are you doing this?" "Because," Gabriel looked up, his golden eyes locking onto hers, "you aren't the enemy, Elena. You're the victim." He stripped off her socks. Her feet were blue with cold. He helped her stand and turned his back to give her privacy. "Get in the water," he ordered. "Wash it all away." He heard the rustle of clothes, the splash of water, and a sigh of pure relief that broke his heart. He waited. The steam carried the scent to him. The musk of the rogue faded. The garbage smell vanished. In its place, vanilla, rainwater, and something sweet. Like honey. Gabriel closed his eyes. He inhaled. It hit him like a drug. Mate. The word echoed in his skull. Loud. Undeniable. He had hunted her. He had terrified her. He had almost killed his own mate. His knees hit the floor. He gripped the edge of the sink until the marble cracked under his fingers. Snap. "Gabriel?" Her voice was soft. Scared. He couldn't turn around. If he looked at her now, naked and clean, he would never let her go. "Wash," he choked out. "Just wash."
The water was heaven. It burned her frozen skin, but it was a good burn. Elena scrubbed until her skin was pink. The soap smelled like sandalwood. Like him. She watched the dirt and blood swirl down the drain. With it went the smell of the alley. The smell of the dumpster. She felt lighter. "I'm done," she whispered. Gabriel didn't turn around. He handed a towel backward. She wrapped it around herself. Then, he handed her a shirt. His shirt. A black t-shirt that hung to her knees. She put it on. It smelled like him. It smelled like safety. "Thank you," she said. Gabriel finally turned. His face was pale. His jaw was clenched so hard a muscle ticked in his cheek. He looked at her like she was a ghost. Or an angel. "Come," he said. He led her into the bedroom. He went to the corner and picked up the leather jacket. He held it with 2 fingers, like it was radioactive. "I'm burning this," he said. "Wait." Elena ran forward. "The pocket." Gabriel frowned. "What?" "The lump," she said breathless. "In the lining. I felt it." Gabriel didn't wait. He ripped the lining open. The sound of tearing fabric was loud in the quiet room. Something fell out. Clatter. It hit the hardwood floor. A small, silver drive. A USB stick. But it looked heavy. Military grade. Elena picked it up. Her fingers brushed Gabriel's. Zap. The spark was stronger this time. It wasn't static. It felt like lightning. She looked up. Gabriel was staring at her mouth. His pupils were blown wide. "You had this," he whispered. "The whole time?" "I didn't know," Elena said. "I thought it was a security tag." Gabriel took the drive. He walked to his desk and plugged it into his laptop. Elena followed, standing behind him. Files opened. Maps. Photos. "My God," Gabriel breathed. "What is it?" "It's not just a trophy," Gabriel said. His voice was ice cold. "It's a plan. Blueprints." He clicked on a file named Thorn Estate. It was a map of this house. Red circles marked the entrances. The vents. The security blind spots. And there was a date. Today. He didn't lose the jacket, Gabriel realized. He looked at Elena. Horror filled his eyes. "He gave it to you." "Because." Elena's voice trembled. "Because he knew you would bring me here." "Yes." Gabriel stood up. He grabbed her shoulders. His grip was bruising. "You're the Trojan horse, Elena." "The scent, it was to make sure I brought you inside the wards." "And the drive?" "The drive is the key," Gabriel said. "It disables the perimeter alarms if plugged into my network." He looked at the laptop. The screen flashed red. Upload complete. System disabled. The lights in the room flickered. Then, they went out. "He's here," Gabriel growled. In the darkness, his eyes began to glow. "Stay behind me."
The estate was plunged into darkness. "Marcus!" Gabriel roared into his phone. "Report." Static. Then, screaming. "They're inside." Marcus yelled. "The gates are open." "They just walked in." Gabriel crushed the phone in his hand. The rogue had played him. Perfectly. He used Gabriel's own nose against him. He used the girl. Gabriel looked at Elena. She was standing in the moonlight, wearing his shirt, shaking. She looked terrified. But she didn't look weak. She had grabbed a heavy brass statue from the desk. She was holding it like a club. "Brave," his wolf purred. "Our mate is a warrior." "Put that down," Gabriel said. He walked to the wall safe. He punched in the code. Beep. Beep, beep, clank. He pulled out a gun. And a knife. The knife was long. Silver. The handle was carved bone. Can you shoot? He asked. No, Elena whispered. Can you stab? She hesitated. Then, she nodded. If I have to. He handed her the knife. Silver burns them, he said. It stops them from healing. If anyone comes through that door who isn't me, you put this in their heart. Elena gripped the handle. Her knuckles were white. Where are you going? She asked. Her voice cracked. To fix my mistake, Gabriel snarled. He walked to the window and looked down. Shadows were moving across the snow. Dozens of them. Wolves. The rogue had brought an army. The hallway outside erupted in noise. Gunshots. Roars. Bodies hitting the floor. They're coming up, Gabriel said. He grabbed the heavy dresser and shoved it in front of the door. Scrape. Gabriel, Elena said. She reached out. She touched his arm. The spark flared again. It calmed his wolf instantly. It gave him focus. I will come back for you, he promised. I swear it. I know, she said. And she meant it. He could smell her trust. It was stronger than the fear. He felt invincible. He walked to the balcony doors. He opened them to the freezing night. Lock this behind me, he ordered. He stepped out onto the ledge. The wind whipped his hair. Below him, the war had begun. Gabriel took a deep breath. He filled his lungs with the cold air. Then, he shifted. The change was violent. Fast. He leaped from the balcony. A massive black monster falling from the sky. He landed on the first rogue wolf with a bone-crushing crunch. The hunt was over. The war had begun.
The darkness in the bedroom wasn't empty. It was heavy, thick with the sounds of dying men and snarling beasts from the floor below. Elena crouched behind the heavy oak bed frame. Her fingers were wrapped so tight around the bone handle of the silver knife that her knuckles turned white. Thump. Thump. Scream. The house was shaking. With every heartbeat, the terror in her chest expanded, threatening to choke her. She wanted to curl up in the closet and cover her ears. Still, she didn't move. She wasn't the girl in the dumpster anymore. That girl would have frozen. That girl would have waited to die. She remembered Gabriel's eyes. The way he looked at her when he gave her the knife. Like she was strong. Like she was worth saving. I am a warrior, she told herself. It was a lie, but she held on to it. The noise downstairs changed. The gunfire stopped. The roaring stopped. In the silence that followed, a new sound emerged. Closer. Right outside the bedroom door. Click. Someone was trying the handle. Elena stopped breathing. She raised the knife, the silver blade glinting in the moonlight. The dresser Gabriel had shoved in front of the door groaned. Something massive was pushing against it from the other side. Screech. Wood scraped against wood. The barricade was sliding. A smell seeped into the room. It wasn't the musk of the male wolves or the metallic tang of blood. It was perfume. Expensive, floral perfume mixed with the sour stench of madness. Elena knew that scent. It was on the collar of the jacket. The real owner. Elena stood up. She stepped out from behind the bed. She wouldn't die hiding. The door flew open with a deafening crack. The heavy dresser tipped over, crashing into the vanity. Glass shattered everywhere. A figure stepped through the ruin. It wasn't a wolf. Not yet. It was a woman. Tall. Blonde. Beautiful in a sharp, cruel way. She wore a tactical suit that looked like a second skin. She smiled, her teeth too white. Too sharp. Found you, she purred. Elena raised the knife higher. Stay back. The woman laughed, a dry, brittle sound. Oh, honey. You're holding that wrong. The woman's eyes flashed neon green. She didn't shift. She just moved. Faster than thought. She crossed the room in a blur. Elena slashed the knife through the air. Whoosh. She missed. A hand, strong as steel, wrapped around Elena's throat. The world tilted. Elena was slammed against the wall, the impact knocking the breath out of her lungs. Where is it? The woman hissed, her face inches from Elena's. The drive. Give it to me. Elena gasped, clawing at the hand crushing her windpipe. Go to hell. The woman's smile vanished. Wrong answer.
Blood tasted like copper and salt. Gabriel ripped the throat out of a gray wolf and tossed the body aside. He was a monster of shadow and fury. A blur of claws and teeth. The snow around the estate entrance was stained black with blood. There were too many of them. Hold the line. Marcus roared to his left. Gabriel snarled a response. He lunged at another rogue who was trying to flank them. Snap. Bone broke under his jaws. He was winning. The thorn pack was stronger. They were pushing the rogues back into the tree line. The bond screamed. It wasn't a sound. It was a physical pain. A spike of pure terror that drove itself into the center of his chest. Elena. Gabriel froze. For a second, he was open. Vulnerable. A rogue slashed at his flank. Claws tore through fur and skin. Gabriel didn't even feel it. He turned his massive head toward the house. Toward the top floor. He felt her fear. It was cold. Suffocating. And underneath it, pain. She was hurting. She couldn't breathe. She is dying. The realization hit him harder than any bullet. Marcus shouted, Gabriel. The alpha rogue. He's in the trees. We have him pinned. This was it. The moment of vengeance. The leader of the rogues, the male who ordered the hit, was right there. Gabriel could end this war. He could avenge his brother. All he had to do was stay and fight. If he left now, the line might break. His pack might die. His body moved on instinct. He didn't look at the trees. He didn't look at Marcus. He looked at the window. Mate. The word thundered in his blood. Gabriel turned his back on the war. He abandoned the kill. He ran. He scrambled up the stone pillars of the porch. His claws gouged deep tracks into the masonry. He launched himself upward. Second floor. Third floor. He needed to be faster. The bond was fading. Her light was flickering out. And oh, his wolf roared. He reached the balcony. The glass doors were already shattered. He shifted in midair. It hurt. Bones rearranging. Skin stretching. He crashed onto the bedroom floor in his human form. Naked. Bleeding. Panting. He looked up. And his heart stopped.
Black spots danced in front of Elena's eyes. The pressure on her throat was unbearable. Her lungs were burning. The woman, the rogue, was squeezing the life out of her. Last chance, the woman whispered. Her perfume was choking. The drive. Or I snap your pretty little neck. Elena's hand was still gripping the knife. Her arm felt heavy. Useless. Do it, a voice inside her screamed. Fight. She remembered the alley. The cold. The helplessness. Never again. She didn't try to pull the woman's hand away. She raised her own arm. With the last ounce of strength she had, she drove the silver knife down. She didn't aim for the chest. She aimed for the arm holding her. Squelch. The blade sank deep into the woman's bicep. Right to the bone. Ah! The scream was piercing. The grip on Elena's throat vanished instantly. Elena fell, hitting the floor hard. She gasped, sucking in greedy gulps of air. The woman stumbled back, staring at the knife sticking out of her arm. Smoke was rising from the wound. Silver burned shifters like acid. "You little bitch," the woman shrieked, her eyes glowing fully green. She ripped the knife out. Blood, black and thick, poured down her arm. She threw the weapon across the room. Clang. Elena tried to scramble away. She tried to stand. But her legs were jelly. The woman looked at her. The mask of beauty was gone. She was pure monster now. "I was going to make it quick," she snarled. Now? Now I'm going to peel you apart." She crouched to spring. A shadow filled the balcony door. "Get away from her." The roar shook the walls. Gabriel. He was there. Bleeding. Naked. He looked like the god of death. The woman spun around. She smiled again. A bloody, manic smile. "Hello, Gabriel," she purred. "Did you miss me?" Gabriel didn't speak. He didn't pause. He charged. But the woman was fast. Unnaturally fast. As he lunged for her, she sidestepped. She grabbed Elena by the hair. "One step closer," she screamed, holding Elena up like a shield, "and I rip her throat out." Gabriel froze. He skidded to a halt. His chest was heaving. His golden eyes were wide with panic. "Let her go, Silas," Gabriel growled. "This is between us." "Silas is dead," the woman laughed. "My mate is dead because of your brother. And now, you're going to know what it feels like to lose everything." She dragged Elena backward. Toward the shattered balcony doors. Toward the drop. "No," Gabriel whispered. He took a step forward. Hand outstretched. "Don't. Say goodbye, Alpha," the woman hissed. She didn't bite Elena. She threw her. With supernatural strength, she hurled Elena through the open doors. Elena flew backward. The wind hit her. She saw Gabriel's face. The scream tearing from his throat. And then, there was nothing but the cold, dark air and the fall.
Gravity was a thief. It stole breath. It stole time. It stole hope. Gabriel didn't scream. He didn't think. In that moment, the world narrowed to a single point, the falling silhouette of the woman he loved. Elena was tumbling backward into the abyss. Her eyes were locked on his. Wide. Terrified. Silent. Gabriel vaulted over the railing. He didn't shift. There wasn't time. The bone-breaking agony of the change would take seconds he didn't have. So, he dove as a man. The wind roared in his ears. It bit at his naked skin like 1,000 icy needles. But he didn't feel it. He stretched his arms out, willing his body to be faster than physics allowed. "Reach her," his wolf screamed. "Catch her." He collided with her in midair. His arms wrapped around her waist. He pulled her flush against his chest, tucking her head under his chin. He twisted his body, putting his back to the ground. He became the shield. Crack. They hit the tree canopy first. Branches whipped at his face. Wood snapped against his spine. Then, the ground. Thud. The impact was a bomb going off in his body. His ribs shattered. His breath left him in a violent whoosh. Darkness exploded behind his eyes. He rolled, absorbing the momentum, sliding through the deep snow until they slammed into the stone foundation of the estate. Everything stopped. Silence. Heavy and white. Gabriel lay there. Pain was a distant drumbeat. He couldn't move his legs. He couldn't draw a breath. But he could feel. He could feel the small, trembling weight on his chest. "Gabriel?" The whisper was broken, choked with tears. His heart started to beat again. She was alive. He tried to open his eyes. One was swollen shut. The other focused on the gray sky. "Run," he rasped. Blood bubbled past his lips. "Elena, run." "No," she sobbed. Hands touched his face. Small. Freezing. "You're hurt. You're bleeding." "She's still coming," Gabriel wheezed. He could smell it. The floral perfume mixed with the ozone of dark magic. The rogue hadn't jumped. She was taking the stairs. She was coming to finish the job. "I can't fight," Gabriel choked out. His healing factor was kicking in, bones knitting together with sickening crunches, but it was too slow. "I can't protect you." Elena looked down at him. Tears cut tracks through the dirt on her face. Her expression changed. The fear vanished. It was replaced by something harder. Something cold. "Yes, you can," she whispered. "By staying alive." Before he could stop her, she scrambled off his chest. "Elena," he tried to roar, but it came out as a gurgle. She stood up. She looked at the balcony above. Then, she looked at the dark woods that bordered the estate. She grabbed a handful of snow and rubbed it on her neck, spreading her scent. "Over here, bitch," she screamed at the house. She turned and ran toward the forest. Toward the darkness. She was leading the monster away from him. "No!" Gabriel screamed. He tried to push himself up, but his arms collapsed. He watched her disappear into the trees. A tiny, fragile figure running into the mouth of hell to save him. For the first time in his life, the Alpha felt truly helpless.
The snow was deep. It sucked at her boots like quicksand. Elena didn't stop. She couldn't. Her lungs burned. Her side ached where she had hit the ground. But the pain was good. The pain meant she was still moving. Left. Right. Keep moving. She wove through the pines. The branches scratched her face, drawing blood. Good. Let the monster smell the blood. Let her follow the trail. "That's it," Elena panted. "Come and get me." She had to get far enough away. Far enough that Gabriel wouldn't try to follow until he was healed. Far enough that the rogue wouldn't double back to kill him. Crunch. A heavy footstep behind her. Elena didn't look back. She pushed harder. "Run, rabbit, run," a voice cooed. It seemed to come from everywhere. From the trees. From the wind. The woman was playing with her. She could have caught Elena by now. She was a shifter, faster, stronger. She was hunting for sport. Elena kept running. She stumbled into a small clearing. The moon illuminated a frozen creek. She slid down the bank, her foot punching through the thin ice. Freezing water soaked her boot. She scrambled up the other side. "You're making this too easy," the voice laughed. A blur of motion. Whack. Elena was thrown sideways. She hit a tree trunk, her head snapping back. She slid down into the snow, dazed. The woman, the rogue, stood over her. She wasn't smiling anymore. Her tactical suit was torn where Elena had stabbed her. Her eyes were glowing toxic green. "You ruined my arm," she hissed, flexing the injured limb. "Do you know how long silver burns take to heal?" Elena spat blood into the snow. "Hope it rots off." The woman snarled. She reached down and grabbed Elena by the throat, lifting her feet off the ground. "You think you're brave?" she sneered. "You're just meat." A distraction he picked up from the garbage. Elena clawed at the woman's hands. "He came for me," she choked out. "He came for his pride," the woman corrected. "Alphas don't like losing their toys." But he failed. Just like he failed his brother. She tightened her grip. Elena's vision started to spot. Gray edges crept in. "I'm going to leave you here," the woman whispered. "Bleeding. Broken. And I'm going to let the cold finish you." Just like you found that jacket. She threw Elena. Elena crashed into the frozen creek bed. The ice shattered under her weight. She sank into the freezing water. The shock was instant. Paralyzing. Die cold, little rabbit, the woman said. She turned and walked away into the shadows. Elena tried to move, but her limbs were lead. The cold water was numbing her nerves, shutting down her heart. She looked up at the moon. It was blurry. She was going to die here. Alone. In the dark. Just like she always feared. Gabriel, she whispered. The name was a bubble that burst on her lips. The water closed over her face.
The healing was agony. It felt like fire ants crawling under his skin. Bones snapped back into place. Muscles reknit. Gabriel lay in the snow by the foundation of the house. He was shaking. Not from cold, but from rage. He forced himself to his knees and vomited blood. Get up, he growled. He grabbed the stone wall and hauled himself to his feet. Naked. Bruised. But whole. He looked at the woods. The bond was silent. It wasn't the sharp spike of fear anymore. It was nothing. A dull, empty void. No, he breathed. No, no, no. He forced his legs to move. He found her footprints. Small, erratic. And next to them, the heavy boot prints of the killer. He followed them, breaking into a run. He didn't shift. He needed his hands. He needed to touch her. He ran until his lungs burned. He ran until he smelled it. Blood. Fresh. Sweet. And the scent of the frozen creek. He burst into the clearing. He saw the broken ice. The black water churning sluggishly. Elena. The scream tore his throat. He jumped into the freezing water. It was black. Murky. He reached down, hands grasping at the mud, the weeds. Then, fabric. He pulled. He hauled her body out of the water. She was blue. Limp. Her eyes were closed. She wasn't breathing. Gabriel dragged her onto the snowy bank and collapsed beside her. Wake up, he begged, pumping her chest. Come on. Wake up. Nothing. Don't do this to me, he sobbed. Tears mixed with the river water on his face. Please. I can't lose you too. He pressed his ear to her chest. Silence. The despair hit him then. Total. Absolute. He had failed. He was the alpha who couldn't save his family. The protector who brought death to his doorstep. He pulled her into his lap. He rocked her, burying his face in her wet, freezing neck. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. He felt something. A tiny flutter. Weak. Erratic. Like a dying moth. Her heart. It beat once. Paused. Then beat again. She was alive. Barely. Hanging by a thread. But a thread was enough. Gabriel lifted his head. His eyes weren't gold anymore. They were red. The rogue thought she had won. She thought she had killed his mate and left him broken. She was wrong. She hadn't broken him. She had stripped away everything that made him a man. Now, only the monster remained. He stood up, lifting Elena's unconscious body in his arms. He looked at the tracks leading away from the creek. The rogue's tracks. Run, Gabriel whispered to the empty woods. Run while you can. When he brought Elena back, when he warmed her and saved her, he was coming for them. And he wouldn't bring justice. He would bring hell. The hunting cabin smelled of cedar, dust, and old wool. It was small. Hidden. A forgotten outpost on the edge of the Thorn territory. Gabriel kicked the door shut against the howling wind. He didn't stop moving. He carried Elena to the hearth. The fire was already laid, dry logs waiting for a spark. With a thought, he grabbed the matches. Strike. Hiss. Flare. The fire roared to life, casting long, dancing shadows against the log walls. But Elena was still ice cold. Her lips were blue. Her skin was the color of marble. She wasn't shivering anymore. That was bad. That was the end. Not today, Gabriel growled. He stripped the wet clothes off her body. The sodden boots. The freezing jeans. The shirt that clung to her like a second skin. He stripped himself next. He pulled the heavy fur rug in front of the fire and laid down, pulling her on top of him. Skin to skin. He wrapped his arms around her, burying her in the heat of his alpha body. He pushed his warmth into her. He willed his heart to beat for both of them. Breathe, he commanded softly. Come back to me. For a long time, there was only the crackle of the fire and the wind screaming outside. Then, a twitch. A small tremor ran through her frame. Shivering. Good. Shivering meant life. That's it, Gabriel murmured. He rubbed her back, his large hands creating friction. Fight it, Elena. Her breath hitched. Her heart rate picked up, losing that terrifying, moth-wing flutter and finding a steady rhythm. Gabriel buried his nose in her damp hair. He inhaled. River water. Fear. And underneath it all, her. Vanilla. Sweet. Resilient. It broke him. He squeezed his eyes shut. A tear leaked out, hot and shameful. He was supposed to be the monster. The killer. The alpha who took no prisoners. But holding her, feeling her fragility against his massive chest, he realized he was just a man. A man who was terrified of the dark. I thought I lost you, he whispered into her neck. She didn't answer. She was still unconscious. But her hand moved. Instinctively, her fingers curled into a fist against his chest. Holding on. The rage inside him solidified. It stopped being a chaotic fire and became a cold, hard blade. The rogue was out there. Hurt. Bleeding. She had tried to take his mate. She had tried to drown the only thing that made him human. Gabriel opened his eyes. They were dry now. He stared at the fire. He wouldn't wait for the sun. He wouldn't wait for backup. When Elena woke up, if she could stand, they were going to end this. And he wasn't going to offer mercy. He was going to offer teeth.
Waking up felt like drowning in reverse. Air rushed into her lungs. Pain flooded her limbs. Heat, burning, intense heat, surrounded her. Elena gasped, her eyes flying open. She was staring at a wooden ceiling. Firelight flickered in her peripheral vision. And there was a weight on her. Around her. Easy, a deep voice rumbled. I've got you. Gabriel. She turned her head. He was right there, his face inches from hers. He looked wrecked. Bruises bloomed on his jaw. His eyes were red-rimmed. But he was warm. So warm. The water. She croaked. Her throat felt like she had swallowed glass. I got you out, Gabriel said, stroking her hair. His hand was trembling slightly. You're safe. Safe. The word tasted bitter. Elena pushed herself up. Her muscles screamed in protest, but she ignored them. She sat up, the fur blanket falling to her waist. She's still out there, Elena whispered. Yes, Gabriel said, his voice dropping an octave. But she's hurt. You wounded her. Elena looked down at her hands. They were clean now, but she could still feel the vibration of the knife hitting bone. The resistance. The scream. Silver, Elena said. I hit the bone. In her arm. Gabriel nodded, a dark satisfaction curling his lip. Silver doesn't just burn, Elena. It poisons. She can't heal that. Not quickly. She's losing strength by the minute. So, the monster was bleeding. She won't leave, Elena realized. She needs the drive. She needs the leverage. If she goes back to the other rogues injured and empty-handed, they'll kill her, Gabriel finished. She's cornered. Elena closed her eyes. She felt the fear trying to claw its way back in. The memory of the freezing water. The darkness. Run, her instinct screamed. Hide. But she remembered the jacket. The dumpster. The years of hiding. If she ran now, she would be running forever. She opened her eyes. She looked at Gabriel. We have to go. Gabriel frowned. No. You're weak. You almost died. I'm not dead, she snapped. And I'm not waiting for her to come back with reinforcements. She threw the blanket off. The cold air hit her skin, but she didn't flinch. She grabbed Gabriel's shirt from the floor, dry now, warmed by the fire, and pulled it on. She thinks I'm dead, Elena said, her voice gaining strength. She thinks she drowned me. She won't be expecting a ghost. Gabriel stared at her. His golden eyes searched her face. He didn't see a victim anymore. You want to hunt her? He asked. No, Elena said. She stood up, swaying slightly, then steadied herself. I want to finish it. She looked at the door. She took my home, Elena whispered. She tried to take you. She turned back to him. I want her to know who she messed with. Gabriel stood. He towered over her. Naked. Magnificent. Deadly. He reached out and cupped her face. Then we hunt, he promised.
The woods were silent. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of fear. Even the owls were holding their breath. Gabriel moved through the trees like a shadow. He was dressed in spare tactical gear from the cabin, black cargo pants, heavy boots. Elena was right behind him. She moved surprisingly well. Quiet. Careful. The moon was high now, casting long, skeletal shadows on the snow. Gabriel stopped. He held up a hand. He flared his nostrils. Rot. It was faint, but it was there. The smell of infected flesh. The smell of burned magic. She's close, he murmured. Elena stepped up beside him, holding a heavy iron poker from the cabin fireplace. It wasn't a silver knife, but it would break bone. The old mine, Gabriel whispered, pointing through the trees. Ahead, a dark opening gaped in the side of the rocky hill. It was an abandoned coal shaft. Unstable. Dangerous. Perfect for a rat like Silas's mate. She's in there, Gabriel said. I can smell the blood. Is she alone? Elena asked. The pack dealt with the others. She's the last one standing. They crept closer. The entrance to the mine was framed by rotting timbers. Black water dripped from the ceiling. Drip. 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 Gabriel stepped onto the gravel path. A voice echoed from the darkness. I knew you were stupid, Gabriel. The voice was wet. Weak. But filled with hate. But I didn't think you were stupid enough to bring the corpse. Gabriel stiffened. He pushed Elena behind him. Come out, Mallory, he roared. It's over. A laugh echoed from the deep. It sounded like dry leaves skittering on stone. Over? Mallory rasped. I have the detonator, you mongrel. You think I came here without a plan B? Gabriel froze. Explosives. The estate, Gabriel realized. She rigged the estate. And this mine, Mallory yelled. And your precious cabin. Gabriel looked at Elena. Her eyes were wide. If my heart stops, Mallory screamed, the dead man's switch blows half this forest to hell. Gabriel clenched his fists. He couldn't rush her. If he killed her instantly, the switch might drop. He needed to get close. He needed to sever the hand before she could trigger it. Stay here, he ordered Elena. No, she whispered. She can smell you coming. She can't smell me, Elena said. I'm the corpse, remember? Before he could stop her, Elena stepped out from behind him. Mallory, she shouted. Her voice didn't waver. You look like hell. You. The voice in the dark faltered. Shocked. How? I'm hard to kill, Elena said. She started walking toward the mine entrance. Just like the Alpha. Stop. Mallory shrieked. I'll blow it. I swear. Do it, Elena challenged. She kept walking. Blow us all up. You die too. Gabriel watched, his heart hammering against his ribs. Elena was bluffing. She was walking straight into the blast zone. Brave, his wolf howled. Insane. But it was working. The scent of the rogue spiked with confusion. Panic. She wasn't looking at Gabriel. She was looking at the girl she thought she drowned. Gabriel saw his opening. He shifted his weight. He prepared to spring. This was the final gamble. One move. One strike. Or they all burned. The air inside the mine entrance tasted like sulfur. It was the taste of death. Gabriel crouched in the shadows, muscles coiled tight. A spring ready to snap. 10 feet away, Elena was walking toward the woman who wanted to blow them all to pieces. Stay back. Mallory shrieked. Her voice echoed off the wet stone walls. She held her good hand up, thumb hovering over a small black button. The detonator. You're a ghost, Mallory babbled. Her eyes darted around. I drowned you. I saw the bubbles. You missed, Elena said. Her voice was calm. Eerily calm. She took another step. Gravel crunched under her boot. Crunch. I said stop. Mallory screamed. Her thumb twitched. Gabriel stopped breathing. If that button clicked, the mountain would come down on top of them. Elena would be buried. He looked at Mallory's arm. The one holding the device was shaking. But the other arm, the one Elena had stabbed, was black, swollen, and useless. The poison had spread. Mallory was dying on her feet. She was slow. Gabriel just needed to be fast. Elena locked eyes with Mallory. Look at me, she said. Forget him. Look at me. It worked. Mallory's gaze snapped to the girl she hated. Now. Gabriel moved. He didn't shift. The wolf was too big for the narrow tunnel. He moved as a man, covering the distance in a single heartbeat. Mallory gasped. She saw the blur of movement. Her thumb jammed down on the button. Click. No. Gabriel didn't go for her throat. He went for the device. His hand, fast as a striking cobra, slammed into hers. He caught the detonator before the signal could send. He crushed her hand around it, jamming the mechanism. Bones crunched. Aya! Mallory screamed. The sound was deafening in the small space. She dropped the device, and it clattered to the rocky floor. It didn't explode. But Mallory wasn't done. With a snarl of pure madness, she lunged. She didn't go for Gabriel. She went for Elena. She pulled a knife hidden in her boot, a jagged piece of rusty metal. If I die, she dies. Mallory shrieked. She slashed at Elena's face. Gabriel was too far away. He had lunged for the bomb. He was off balance. Elena didn't scream. She didn't run. She swung the heavy iron poker she had carried from the cabin. Whack! She hit Mallory square in the chest. The impact lifted the rogue off her feet. Ribs shattered. Mallory flew backward, hitting the rotten support beams of the mine entrance. Crack. Groan. The timbers gave way. Dust rained down. Rocks the size of fists started to fall. "Gabriel!" Elena yelled. She reached for him. He grabbed her hand and pulled her into his chest. Behind them, the mine entrance collapsed. Tons of rock slammed down, burying Mallory. Burying the bomb. Burying the past. A cloud of dust exploded outward, knocking them both into the snow. Gabriel rolled, covering Elena with his body. He waited for the blast. He waited for the fire. But there was only silence. The detonator was buried deep. Or maybe it broke. It didn't matter. Slowly, Gabriel lifted his head. He looked down at the woman beneath him. She was covered in gray dust, bleeding from a cut on her forehead. But her eyes were open. And she was smiling. "We got her," she whispered. Gabriel let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He pressed his forehead against hers. "Yeah," he choked out. "We got her." The fire in the library crackled. It was a happy sound. Gabriel stood by the window. The glass had been repaired. The estate was quiet. The war was over. It had been 3 days. 3 days of healing. 3 days of burying the dead. 3 days of watching Elena sleep, terrified she would disappear if he blinked. Click. The heavy oak door opened. Elena walked in. She wasn't wearing his shirt anymore. She was wearing a soft gray sweater and jeans. She looked healthy. Her cheeks were pink. The hollows under her eyes were filling in. But she looked nervous. She held a piece of paper in her hand. Gabriel turned. He felt his heart squeeze. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey." She walked to the desk and placed the paper down. It was the check he had written her. A lot of money. Enough to go anywhere. To be anyone. "I don't want it," she said. Gabriel gripped the edge of the windowsill. "Elena, you're free. The rogue is gone. The police think it was a gas leak. You don't have to stay." "I know." She looked around the room. At the books. At the fire. "I lived in a box for 2 years," she said quietly. "I thought freedom was just not being cold. Not being hungry." She looked at him. "But it's cold out there, Gabriel. Even with money." She walked around the desk and stopped in front of him. She was so small compared to him, but she held his gaze without flinching. "You told me once that the jacket smelled like a traitor," she said. Gabriel flinched. "I was wrong." "No," she said. "You were right. It was a lie. A disguise." She stepped closer and placed her hand on his chest, right over his heart. "But this isn't a lie." She leaned in, pressing her nose to his shirt. She inhaled. "Sandalwood," she whispered. "Pine. And stubborn wolf." Gabriel let out a rough laugh. It sounded rusty. "I'm a monster, Elena," he warned. "I have claws. I have a temper. I come with a war." "I know," she said. She looked up. Her eyes were shining. "But you're the only one who kept me warm." That broke the last of his resistance. Gabriel wrapped his arms around her. He lifted her up, pressing her against the window glass. "I love you," he growled. He had never said those words before. Not to anyone. "I know," she smiled. "I heard your wolf say it. In the mine." She grabbed his face and pulled him down. Her lips met his. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was hungry. Desperate. It tasted like survival. It tasted like hope. The scent of vanilla and rain exploded around him. It filled his lungs. It settled his soul. He deepened the kiss, claiming her. Marking her. Not with a bite, but with his heart. Outside, the snow began to fall again. Soft. Quiet. But inside, there was no cold. The alpha had found his mate. The ghost had found her anchor. And the hunt was finally over.